Peace and welcome to another episode of Artistry, where art meets industry. We are your hosts, Rachelle, Etienne-Robinson, and Stan, Substantial Robinson. Season 4 of Artistry is powered by Words, Beats, and Life.
Peace.
Peace and welcome to Artistry, where art meets industry. We are your hosts, Rachelle, Etienne-Robinson, and
Stan, Substantial Robinson. Peace.
Yay.
What's going on, family?
Happy Wednesday, folks. So, if you are joining us for the very first time, we are Artistry, the Artistry podcast, where we interview visual artists, performing artists, arts administrators,
Creative entrepreneurs,
and we talk to them and we discuss with them their creative journey.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a returning supporter, sponsor, participant, we welcome you back.
Yeah.
Today's guests are
Us. So what we're doing right now, we're doing like a mid-season recap just to talk about like some of our guests that we had, talk about our favorite moments so far, what we've learned this year, and also just to talk about what we have going on. In the past, if you have been listening for a couple seasons now, when we first started this podcast, we started off by interviewing each other. Mm-hmm. And because, you know, while a lot of people who tune in are familiar with us, they don't necessarily know the journey. So, you know, we've given folks the opportunity to really kind of see what our paths were like to both each other and in the arts and our careers.
Yeah, and we haven't done that since.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while, and a lot has happened. So yeah, looking forward to chopping it up with everybody, answering whatever questions you have, and then of course we're asking questions of each other. Mm-hmm. So it should be a lot of fun, man. Shout out to everyone in the chat already,
hey.
Tuning in. Peace to y'all, man. Definitely thank you for joining. The shout out to Joshua, shout out to Blackheart. Good to see y'all in here.
Hey, folks.
All right. Yeah, man. So
you want to go first?
Well, yeah, I kind of want to. There's yes, I do, but more importantly, you know, I want to start by giving folks heads up as to what's going on this weekend, which is a big part of what we've been doing for the last how many years? Well, it's 1 year. It feels like it's been years,
yeah, it does. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's the anniversary. We launched. So what we're talking about, folks, is Sketchpads.
Yes.
Sketchpads is basically a jam session that we created. We thought of last year. We are very much active in the convention space. And so we launched Sketchpads at BlurredCon. And BlurredCon, here we are a year later, and we're back. And so just to give you a brief description of what it is. So it's a jam session where we invite a visual artist and a beat maker. Because if you are a visual artist, 9 times out of 10, you are probably doing what? Listening to music while you're drawing. And so we invite a visual artist, a beat maker, and basically they have a jam session. So while the producer is making live beats or playing their already pre-recorded beats, and then we have a visual artist that will be doing live drawing, sketching, whatever, that's projected for the audience to view. And then there's more. We also invite
so dramatic.
We also invite cosplayers because, again, like we said, we're in the convention space. We invite typically two cosplayers to come in for the audience and or the visual artist to draw as a figure model. And so the audience gets to really enjoy that. So they really get to, it's a very, very much an immersive experience. The other thing is, if you get there early, the first 50 participants get free goodie bags because we love to give. We're givers.
We're givers.
And so we provide you with some sketch pads, some drawing utensils to help you with that process. So, yeah, I think it's a good time. We've had a very good response. We've been at, like we said, we launched at BlurredCon. From there, we went to Otakon. Then
Anime USA.
Yes.
Anime NYC. We did Farpoint convention. We have yet to do. We haven't done MagFest yet, but we're gonna keep shooting our shot. We've done MomoCon.
We just did Awesome Con a couple weeks ago.
Yep, Awesome Con for the first time. We'll also be at Conjutsu. We'll be back at both BlurredCon and Otakon this year. We're doing Conjutsu in Virginia for the first time as well. So, yeah, man, should be dope.
Yeah.
Should be really, really dope.
It's a really good time. It's definitely a vibe. You know, we get a really good amount of people that come out and are just enjoying the scene, or like I said, participating, or you just want to be a voyeur and be nosy and see whatever other people are doing. You can do that too. So we're excited
100%.
to be coming back to BlurredCon.
Yes. Yeah, no, it should be really, really dope. But
Oh,
yeah,
the
man.
artists.
Oh yeah,
Our
yeah, yeah.
guests.
So let's tell them briefly who we got featured. So yeah, this year we have special guest Micah Blacklight is our visual artist. For those of you who are fans of me, Substantial, you may have come across my Substantial versus Samurai Champloo project. Micah did illustration on that. For those of you who are Q&5 fans, you may remember him not for his visual art ability, but him as a dancer as well, because he performed with me, my brother B Polite, and my man Scotty at the Q&5 Mega Show that year. I had dancers. I can't remember exactly what year that was, but it was wild. It was an awesome time. But shout out to Blacklight. He will be joining us for the first time doing sketch pads. Not his first time at BlurredCon though. And then our producer, our beat maker is the homie Kyle Murdoch, most known for just producing amazing tracks for people like Mega Ran, one half of Panacea. He also does sound engineering for Vice, like for a lot of their podcasts and various things on their platform. Super talented brother, fellow member of the NPC Collective. Shout out to our fam.
And a professor.
Yeah, and a professor at Howard University. So yeah, man. So that's your cast, so to speak. And then we have cosplayers as well. I believe Navy Montel is going to be one of them. And we got to follow up with the other. I think we forgot to reply to him.
Note to
but
self.
yes, absolutely. But yeah, man. So BlurredCon is going to be pretty dope. We're excited to be coming back, and we hope to see you all there. Yeah. But yeah. So on that note, let's get into some things. Let's bring it up here. So
Who's that good-looking
man,
couple?
we kind of cute or whatever. No, man. So those of you who obviously know who we are, if you're here at the channel. Before I start though, I forgot to point out something. There was something I definitely wanted to make mention of. If you're watching on YouTube right now and you have not subscribed to our channel, please do that, because we are, I think, only 13 subscribers away from hitting 300 subscribers, on our way to 1,000. It's a long journey, but we're up for it. And man, shout out to y'all for just supporting the channel in general. But for those who don't know what Substantial Art and Music is, I figure we start there. So Substantial Art and Music is a consulting service that we created to basically better serve our friends. A lot of times we were oftentimes, kicking it with folks that we love and care about. And we were talking about the different things. We were talking about what they were doing. We would sometimes make suggestions on different ways they could pivot to further their careers. When they ask, of course, we weren't giving this information out unsolicited. Like, friends care about you. They value what you bring to the table a lot of times, and they're curious to know, what you think about what they got going on. And it really just kind of started out helping out people that, as I said before, that we care about, who wanted to know what we thought. And from there, we sometimes would get invited to different spaces. I'm a member of the Recording Academy. I'm a voting member of the Recording Academy. And now I sit on the board.
And we'll talk more about that.
Absolutely.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
I am. But this is all connected, because what ultimately ended up happening was at one of the many meetings that we would do with the Recording Academy, folks were talking about social media, and people had some interesting takes, right? And then I started to share my 2 cents, which turned into about $20, right? As opposed to 2 cents. And I'm just running my mouth, man. And I look around, and at first it's like me or 2 or 3 people talking. And the next thing you know, we got a group of like 15 people, almost 20 people standing around, just kind of listening in to what was being said by me. And that's when Big Bro Kokai said to me, he was like, man, you really need to be consulting. Because that's something he's done for quite some time, most famously consulting people like GoldLink, who's a notable artist globally, but just happens to be from the DMV. So he kind of put that bug in my ear. That's something that we started to talk about, because originally we were planning to serve mostly young people, right? Come up with creative programming for young people.
Yeah, because we're both former youth workers, and so which is a natural progression to continue on and start as a nonprofit. But then we had so many of our peers who are also performing artists or visual artists that were asking for assistance, whether it was marketing or social media, navigating that space, or website update, or
better monetizing what they do.
Exactly. And so that's where, bam, Substantial Art Music comes in, and we just celebrated 6 years. 2017 is when we started.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that's what time flies. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's been a great journey. So so today, we're just going to get you up to date with the goings ons, let you know what we've been up to, and talk about this, that, and the third. So we're gonna so what you want to do? Paper, scissors, rock? We're flipping the coin. What we doing? Who going first?
Well, I think ladies first.
Yeah, it's all right.
So
I don't mind. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and interview Shell, and talk about what she got going on. So first things first, this woman here, right? Shell is a multi-hyphenate, similar to me, where people always talk about, man, you do a whole lot of stuff. It was like, well, I'm surrounded by a ton of people who wear a lot of hats. Yeah. And Shell is one of these many people, and she's the one that I've worked closest with. Most notably, like for those who know her from college, they know about her as a fashion designer, and they know that she can, she's an illustrator, she can draw, she can do all of these different things artistically, but they don't, like, if you followed her journey, then you know that she's an arts administrator, right? Like, she's been, a grant manager. She's worked for a variety of different companies. And so now she's also had this burning desire over the years to get into film. This is something that, since we started dating, has kind of come up in conversation. And even in college, I believe you took a class outside of your major to focus a bit more on that. And so in recent years, she's definitely spent a bit more time building up her portfolio. Got some certifications now, she out here, okay, like checking certain things off and upgrading herself, so to speak. So yeah, so we're going to talk a bit about that first and foremost, because it's just been dope to watch. Aww. So yeah, of course, I like bragging on you. So anyway, let me clean that up. But yeah, so directed by Rachelle Etienne-Robinson. Let's talk about it. We're going to highlight briefly some of these videos that you've done. One video I didn't highlight in the slideshow is the dedicated and driven one. I forgot to throw that in the mix, but we'll start there. Okay. So first and foremost, tell me, like, what got you interested in being a filmmaker?
Well, I think for me, I grew up, I was a kid, growing up in the 70s and 80s, well, mainly the 80s.
Yeah, 80s. I was about to say, you grew up all of a year in the 70s.
Yeah, right? Trying to age myself. Right. No, but I watched TV a whole lot, a lot more than I
probably should have. Yeah.
But, I was always interested in story and storytelling. And so even when I was in college, I didn't know that was even I didn't know how people got into it. It was I just felt like that wasn't something that was attainable. And so I did take a script writing class when I was in college, but that pretty much was it. It was very much, I thought it was all about who you know, and it still very much is that. And it's still
she got comfortable.
I did. I felt like I was in the living room.
Folks listening to the podcast were like, she sounds so far away.
No, but so years later, after, like Stan said, being a multi-hyphenate, I've done a lot of jobs. I have had a lot of different opportunities, but I would say the last, since the pandemic, really, right before the pandemic, because in 2019,
that's when you got the certification.
Yeah, in 2019, I decided I wanted to, I started working and volunteering at a local broadcast TV network. And so learning about studio cameras and being a producer. And so you could take classes in your local, for your local TV channel. And so I did that. And then from there, I actually went, got a certification at NYU for TV and film industries. Got my certification with that. And during that, part of my capstone, which is on the screen now, my capstone was I wanted to do a short documentary. I love documentaries. And so this was during the pandemic, and Stan at Substantial and Funky DL were working on a project called We Met in Tokyo. And I was like, look, I would love to interview you guys and talk about your creative journey and how you guys met. Because I was being selfish, of course, because, this would be for my capstone. But also I figured it would be a great marketing tool for them as they promote their project. And so that was my first project since the certification. I've done other things where I dabbled with editing and stuff, but this is my short mini doc. It's 30 minutes. Very proud of it. I thought it came out really, really well. I love the story. I loved interviewing the guys as they talked about Japan and working with Nujabes and just navigating, that whole process during that time. So that was great. From there, Stan was working on a release and needed a video, and so I threw my hat in and was like, "Hey, I'll shoot the video for you." We hired a camera person. I directed, did the storyboard and everything, and that came out very, very good. Yeah. Your Greatest Weapon. And so that was a really great experience. Working with, of course, a videographer and delegating, as far as how you wanted that story, how you wanted to tell that story. Right. And so, I was working with that. From that, I got my next job, my paid job, because this guy, he was getting benefits for free and stuff. But we'll talk about that later.
Right. There's a joke I could have made just now. I'm trying to keep
he's
it.
Nice.
Right.
I'm
going to keep it PG. You know what I mean? It was like, I was paying, but No, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
So from there.
These are the things we can't do when we interview other people.
When we're interviewing other people, we're very serious.
Yeah, can't get canceled out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? But like, he was interviewing me and then he said, it's wild. But go ahead.
But so Kevin Earlybird was releasing his project and needed a director, and he saw Greatest Weapon, and from that he was like, "Yo, I have a song called Patience. I would love for you to direct it." And I was like, "Sure." And so again, worked with a videographer. We went on several sites in and around DC and Arlington, and it was a great experience working with that. It's I would think music videos for me, I think, was more challenging than documentary because it's so quick because of the transitions, and then on top of that, you have to stay with the music. And so, it's definitely a learning curve. You know what I mean? It's not just, whereas a documentary or any narrative piece, like the storyteller, pretty much tells the story. But with music, you're telling, there's so many different pieces and elements to include, whereas I can have one camera, maybe a two view, or maybe a two camera, and just have that one person talking, and then incorporate some still images,
B-roll,
exactly, some B-roll. Whereas a music video, we have all these elements and different layers and transitions, and so and pacing. So very challenging, but very rewarding at the end. So much so, he liked it so much that Kevin is actually in a documentary called Hidden in Plain Sight, where he
Highly recommend you all check it out. It's a great film.
yeah, where it deals where he's very candid talking about his battles with mental illness, and so he was actually asked to do a song for the soundtrack of the project, and he asked me to do the video, and so that was Live Life. So we did that one.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience. I did work with a different videographer with that, so that style, that style is incorporated, but still staying on theme. Yeah, so it's been wonderful. I mean, I plan to continue. I'm still writing when I have chance. I have several stories,
scripts that you've been working on.
Scripts that I've been working on. So I'm excited to, work on that. I got some really good advice, not only from this man over here, but from our guest Tone, who was like, "Yo, just do it, do it."
Yeah.
So
that was after the interview. Yeah.
So behind the scenes,
right?
But yeah, so I have some things in the works. I'm a glutton for pain because I clearly don't know when to stop. So, but I figure also, we are at, and we're gonna talk about this later when I talk to Stan about his project Adultish, is that as you get older, you realize how precious time is, and so whatever it is that you want to do, you should do it. And follow through with it. But I think also at the same token, had I been doing what I was doing 20 years ago, I don't think it would be the same.
Right.
I have a lot of world experience that I bring to the table that I didn't have 20 years ago. So, teach his own, but, I'm enjoying the ride.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know that, I know you've been working on a ton of stuff behind the scenes, but let's say if you had the budget today, right, and resources weren't a problem, you had all the equipment you needed, you had the budget you needed, what would be the first thing? And I know some of the stuff that you're working on you can't share the details and stuff. And well, before we do that. So for the record too, like, what a lot of people don't know is that behind the scenes, like outside of being a filmmaker, like you work behind the scenes doing research for film and TV and stuff for several projects, some of which some I know you can't speak on, but that's also something I know that you've been working on quietly too, that maybe our listeners and even our families aren't fully aware of. So it's just super dope. But going back to what I was saying, if you had the budget today, resources, everything you needed today to start filming something, what would be the first thing you want to work on?
It's funny that you asked that because I work very closely with my former professor. She's a friend. She's a mentor. She's also my writing partner. We have a project that we have that is loosely based on her life. And every time we talk about it, every time I think about it, I can see it. And so if the money was no object and I can do it, that would be the project that we would do. That is with Professor Adrian Jones at Pratt Institute. She and I worked together with on Black Dress exhibit. Back in 2014, she launched an exhibit which was groundbreaking, which highlighted African Americans, designers, and those in the fashion industry period, called Black Dress. And I came on shortly after. We developed the website, which you see on the screen now, where it's an online resource where we talk about not only the initial exhibit, but also where we highlight, stylists and designers and fashion models and beauty and hair and beauty and makeup, entrepreneurs. And so we highlight them, and that has since grown to include what we call Black Dress Talks and the Black Dress Talks series, where we actually twice a year at Pratt, we actually host a series of talks where we invite Black designers, stylists, entrepreneurs to talk about their creative journey and how it is in being in the industry. And so everything is still on mission, is on brand. We also have launched Black Dress TV, which is a YouTube channel where we interview designers and stylists and entrepreneurs in the fashion industry. And talk to them about the industry. And so, yeah, I mean, that's been amazing. We are so fortunate that we are still, since 2014, still doing it, and people are still active. It's great to see now how you're seeing a lot of other organizations that have since come after us and are finally highlighting these folks who have been around since before slavery time. But definitely when you think of like dressmakers back then, a lot of these folks were Black women. So and just wanted to pay homage to them and to their work, and for the Black men as well, who are designers, who are out here doing amazing things. And so
quick example of what she's talking about, right? Like Ann Lowe is a woman who I had never heard of, and I did something back in 2015 on Instagram and Facebook where I basically was highlighting little known like contributors to Black history. And so as I was putting my list together, one, it was just crazy how this was working, because it was some of the things I was posting was going viral, which was very unexpected to me. I really did that because of students of mine. They were asking who they should write about for Black history. And of course, a lot of them were writing about the same figures. And that's when I started to make some suggestions. But then I know some of them were following me on Instagram. So I was like, yo, I'll post some additional ones there outside of the ones I'm telling you about. So long story short, Shell suggested me, she was like, you could do something about Ann Lowe. And she sent me some information. And that's what I learned, like how brilliant this woman was. One, her style was like, she was fly. Like the pictures, the few pictures you find of her, like she was just fly, right? So that was striking about her. But then you find out she was designing dresses for
Jacqueline Kennedy.
Jacqueline Kennedy, and amongst others. And so she was getting like paid like ridiculous amounts, like when you think about like what the money was in those times. Like she's doing these high end like dresses at a time where, I mean, this was at a time that when she went to school, I think she was taking class. She was in the like janitor closet or something, I read. And one of the things like where they wouldn't let her sit in the classroom when she was when she was taking lessons. But anyway, I bring this up because this is part of what Black Dress has been doing. This is part of the work they've been doing, highlighting people like this. And because I learned about it from her and then posted about it, then here comes Afro Punk, which is huge now, right? They took my thing, posted it, credited me, and I'm like, yeah, that ain't me, because I shout out Rachelle in it. But yeah, man, the work that they're doing is really, really important. And, it's just dope to see a lot of these people that I had never heard their names until I saw them doing their work and learned about it via, like just being around, being a fly on the wall when Shell and Adrian would be talking about it. And now a lot of these people like just are a part of the zeitgeist. It's just a part of pop culture, and folks just know now. But I really feel like they don't get enough credit for what they've been quietly doing, because people are watching. That's the one thing we've learned doing this. And I feel like y'all know, some of you know this already, but for those who don't know, we may not have the most popular podcast, right? We may not have our businesses might not be the biggest, or like the name isn't, but like there's a ton of influential people behind the scenes, and some in the foreground who know who we are. They know about the work we do. They're watching what Black Dress is doing, right? Some folks watching what Substantial Art and Music is doing, or meeting behind the scenes with us, right? And then taking a thing and then running with it. And that's all right, like, but just know that we have the thing I've learned in our relationship, both our personal relationship and in business, is that people are oftentimes watching you. And we don't always get the credit we deserve, and y'all definitely don't get all the credit y'all deserve for the work y'all been doing in the fashion biz. But nah, for sure. But I see it, you know what I mean? So when I see these articles and they talking about this great work such and such did, and I know damn well they were very well aware of what you did, what y'all have been doing. It's just interesting to see, but I just want to make sure y'all get y'all flowers. You know?
I appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, clap it up. Clap it up.
For sure.
I mean, one of the things that people say, right? The best.
What was it? Flattery is the best form of imitation is the best form of flattery. There we go. Remix. It's hot. It's been a long day.
So we do get that does happen. And
100%.
So I appreciate you for
that.
But yeah, I mean, we do it, you do it for the love. You do it because you want to highlight the folks that are still here, because there's a lot of people who unfortunately, have transitioned, who have passed on and didn't get their flowers. And so our goal is to definitely, most certainly, make sure that we highlight folks and let them tell their story in their own words.
No, 100%.
And so that's going back to what I was saying before about staying on mission. I mean, the overall theme in the last, I would say, several years has been creative journey. Whether it's in the fashion industry, whether it's, there are no podcasts, as far as I know, that's like us. I mean, we've been told this, that, there might be, of course, there's several media that will interview and will highlight a specific project that the artist is working on, but never really delve into like their past, their present, and their plans for the future. And so I'm very proud of all the things that we have accomplished and are still doing. Here we are 4 years later, and we're looking forward to continuing, more and more. So
yeah, for sure. And on that note, before we get ready to take a break, just wanted to talk about something else you got going on, because you are a woman with many things going on per usual. But yeah, man. So let's talk about George Mason University and your role there. I told you we wear a lot of hats. We're just going through her hat. What do they call it? I guess like her hat closet. I don't know what they call where they store hats, because the hats are just everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about your role at George Mason University and what you do there.
So at George Mason, first of all, full disclosure, I grew up in Northern Virginia. I was born in New York, but I grew up in Northern Virginia. George Mason has been up the road all my life. I was never interested in I was like, it's up the street. I don't want to go up the street. But as I became older, and I've always wanted to work in higher education, and so here I am back at, back looking at George Mason University. So at George Mason, they have 2 locations. They have the Center for the Arts and the Hilton Performing Arts Center. And so my role is I'm the digital marketing coordinator. And so all of their email marketing campaigns, I work closely with the marketing team to create them, develop them, and send them out to all of our patrons and followers and supporters, and update them of different performances and events, special events that are happening on the campus. So it's been wonderful. I've been there officially. In this current role will be a year next month, but I've been working there since last January. Wow. And so it's been great. It's been very inspiring. The team that I work with are amazing. We love her for the arts. Having worked in education, I was hungry for working in the arts, hence why we started Substantial Art and Music. And just let's be clear, Substantial Art and Music is not going anywhere. We are still in full effect, just adding to the plate. So,
Speaking of adding to the plate,
yes.
So one of the things, a lot of people who know us or have been following us online, we used to have an office at Creative Suitland in Suitland, Maryland, very close to where I grew up. Unfortunately, we closed down our office over there. During
the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic. But we just recently, not too long ago, was given an opportunity to open a new office. So now we're happy to announce that we will have an office at Crescendo Studios. in Falls Church, Virginia. So clap it up for that.
Yes.
Super excited. Shout out to our boy Bo from SNRG, Bo Canlas. And yeah, man, great opportunity. We're looking forward to working with the folks over at Crescendo, and of course with our guys from SNRG, man. Just really, really good folks. Grateful for the opportunity. As we've been doing in the past, like look out for like classes and workshops that we'll be doing there, as well as performances and different types of events that you can attend. So yeah, we'll definitely have more updates for you for that. Stay tuned for all those updates and all that good stuff. But on that note, you want to?
No, I was just going to say, shout out to Bo and Aaron for informing us of the opportunity. It's a great space if you are in the DMV area and are looking for a place to either hold rehearsal, to audio. You need audio recording. Or you want to take music classes.
Maybe you want to record your podcast.
They have a great setup over there, so definitely be sure to check them out. Yeah.
All right. On that note, we're going to get ready to take a brief break, and then we're going to come back with more us. So, yeah, y'all hang out for a second. We're going to get ready for a brief word from our sponsor. Shout out to Words, Beats, and Life.
Yes.
Forever grateful for the amazing work that they're doing in the community, and also for them supporting what we do here at Substantial Art and Music. So you all hang tight. We're going to go ahead and run this ad real quick, and we'll be back with more artistry.
Hi, I'm Terry, or Rosina Terry Memelo, and I teach roses and concrete here at Words, Beats, and Life. Visual arts probably is one of the things that kept me interested in school and kept me attending. And then, of course, I went on to art school. It kept me motivated. It kept me focused, gave me a space to express myself, connections with other people, other artists. I teach roses and concrete for a few different reasons. One of them is working with flowers and making things is a great hustle. The same inspiration that I needed in school with visual arts, I know that young people need it today, and I believe that's what we pass on when we teach this class. It gives that hope, that inspiration to keep going. That's why I'm with WBL. So enroll in my class at wblinc.org/academy.
All right. Once again, shout out to our friends, Words, Beats, and Life. Thank you for all you do. Definitely grateful for the support. But yeah, we're back with more artistry. Episode 6 with the Robinsons.
Hanging out with the Robinsons.
Yeah, for sure. So before we jump back into Q&A and all that good stuff, I wanted to ask you so far, like this is our 4th season. We've had some amazing guests.
Over 40.
Yeah. We've had some amazing guests like over the past 4 seasons. But let's focus on this season. I would say my question for you, and then you can ask me the same, or a spinoff. I don't know, whatever you feel. But if someone was late to catch it on the artistry, what do you feel like is a great entry point for them? What's a great interview for them to start with?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
From just this season?
This season? Oh, I mean, I was trying not to put the pressure on you of saying all 4 seasons. Which one? You know what I mean? But what do you feel like is a good entry point?
God. I mean, because every person that we interview is different. They bring something different to the table. So the great thing about what we do too is a lot of the questions are similar for every guest. And so you're going to get you have 20 guests, you're going to get 20 different responses because everybody's path is different.
Right.
Everybody's circumstance is different. And so that's the good thing. So even if you came in the 4th season, we pretty much follow. We have been consistent these past 4 years. I mean, we've updated, we've upgraded, we added our twist and our flair, but it's pretty much follows a certain format. I mean, this season, we started out really strong. We do our best in incorporating both as many visual artists along with performing artists. So, for instance, we had both Tonys. We had Tony Complex, and then we have Tone Deaf. Tony Complex is a visual artist. He started out the season, and we had Tone Deaf, who is a veteran, MC and producer who's been in the game for quite some time.
Who's also a visual artist. Too. So I think with that, Bisco and Tony Complex, we went to college with them, and so we know them well over 20 years. When they're, because they're younger than us, and so not babies, but when they were just starting out, and to see the growth, to see what they've been able to accomplish these last several years has just been amazing to watch. And I love the fact that we're able to go back and catch up with them and see what they've been up to in the time that we've been apart. So I can't pinpoint to one. Can you? Yeah, I mean, the lazy answer would be like, man, just start from the beginning, and shout out to Blackheart in the chat. He was like, man, first season. Yeah, and I think, and this is why we are doing this now, right? With like taking time to speak to each other, update you all on what we're doing, and ask each other questions, because this is how we started the whole journey. It's one of those things that people think they know you a lot of times. Like, there are absolutely people out there who know you fairly well, know you better than most. But even what we've learned doing this, because nearly every guest we've had on the show are people who we could call right now they're friends or close associates. There's been like a few guests here and there, less than 5, maybe less than 3, who weren't like friends or close associates that we had a lot of history with. And so what we learned was, like, sometimes the best way to start things like this or start journeys is to start with who you know, right? Who's nearby. And so what better way to start a podcast dedicated to having conversations about our journeys in the arts than talking to each other, since we're both professional artists.
And I would say the very first episode, season 1, which is where we interview each other, where I interview her. Okay, right. It's episodes 1 and 2. She's like, let's start with the episode about me, right? That's your best entry point to artistry. Start with the interview where I am the focus. No, I'm playing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to say that, but the reason why is because it sets the tone for going forward with all the other interviews that we had. So absolutely, that's why. But season 1 is great. I mean, we had oh gosh, we've had so many of our folks. But
from season 1, you trying to remember names? Funky DL, Marcus D, Verbal, Brooke Kidd, Kokai, Sahat Walker, who else? It's a ton I'm forgetting. I said Marcus D?
Yeah, you said Marcus.
I said Marcus D.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great mix. It's a great mix of...
Season 2, we talked to Marcus J. Moore, Katie Fox, Carolyn Malachi.
Yeah, we try to mix it up with more audio as far as... and literary arts. We try to incorporate that. I'm really excited for this season because, I mean, I know it's been a sausage party. We've had 5 male guests, and it's just because of scheduling. Yeah. But what we have coming up for you guys, I mean, we have, for instance, next week we'll have Pinky Ring, which is a female MC who's phenomenal. We have
and activists as well, community organizers.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have some great ones to close out the season.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm excited. Yeah. But are you ready?
Pray for me, y'all. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I'm here with Black Barbara Walters, so okay.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna make you cry. Right. I'm not gonna make you cry.
And then what happened was my dad took my art supplies and burned them all. And I thought my career was over. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Got it out.
This guy I have next to me, not only is he a comedian, right? So
part-time stripper and he do hair.
At the same time.
I'm sorry.
That would be some talent.
Man. For anybody who gets that reference, You are awesome. That's from a old those old X-Men joints. Like, I'm the Juggernaut. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's where
okay.
that comes
Can
from.
we-
I'm sorry. Go
can we
ahead.
continue?
Ask a question quick.
Okay.
You know, I'm tangent
So,
king. Stangents.
you know, exactly. You have, you know, we talk about wearing multiple hats. You, for one, literally and figuratively wear a lot of hats.
I do.
You are currently in the process of releasing your sixth solo album? Fifth. I'm aging you, sorry. Your fifth solo album called Adultish, which comes out officially
July 14th on Bandcamp. Wow, we are a little over a week away.
Yeah.
And then it drops on July 28th everywhere. Yep.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that process, because you are not only releasing your fifth solo album, but this is your first project that you have produced all tracks by yourself.
Yeah. This
Of course, with the help of, you know, you've had some instrumentalists that
Yeah, for sure.
that you collaborate on. But this is
as most
self-produced.
great producers do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean.
But this is self-produced by you. Can you talk to us about that process? How was that for you?
Sure. Yeah. So, oh man, like it was. It's tedious, man. Like, I am not like a lot of my producer friends that they make beats all day, right? Like, or like, you know, even multiple days a week. Like, I sometimes will make a couple beats in a week, and then I might not make beats again for like a month and a half, 2 months. But I'm also not a person that just has a ton of production just sitting around. So like, the moment I make something, a lot of times I'm figuring out where it can go, who it's for, what I can use it for. And so like, I'm very intentional, I think, when I produce. And so when I knew I was going to start work on my fifth solo album, prior to that, I had been in talks with Funky DL. Shout out to my big bro, Funky DL. You know, just about doing more production in general. So before getting to this point of producing a whole solo album as a vocalist, before doing this, I did The Garden, and I started that journey off with a short EP. Leading up to that, called Seeds, because I really just wanted to see how I wanted to plant some seeds and show people that, y'all, I'm a serious producer. And I intentionally put like old beats of mine on there. Like, these were not beats that really showcased how developed I was as a producer. It was just like a sample, right? Like, it was seeds that I planted, and just to let people know that this is where I was going. And I was just interested to see how people respond. And people responded surprisingly well. I had very low expectations in terms of how people would respond to Seeds. I just wanted to kind of, you know, dip my toe in the water. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. And so then fast forward, and I dropped The Garden. And once I dropped The Garden, like, you know, I had put a lot of work into that. Tapped a lot of my friends who were multi-instrumentalists to play on the tracks. Some of the tracks didn't have anyone playing on there, and I wanted to mix those type of tracks in there as well, just to see like what people would gravitate toward. And the response, man, the response was crazy. You know, I crowdfunded the vinyl. You know, I only was trying to get a minimum amount done. Surpassed that. Stores around the world ordered copies of it. You know, got some major placements for some of the beats for some really big playlists. The project to date has like a couple million plays, which is just crazy to me. And that just really kind of put me on this journey to put more of my production out. And then I started planting the seeds of producing for other people and producing full projects, or not full projects, but EPs for them. So I did that with Wealth, and I did that with T. Lucas. And both of those projects were the most successful projects those two artists ever released. And in terms of streaming,
So
right?
that gave you the confidence?
That absolutely. It let me know that, man, this isn't This is not a flash in the pan. Like, this isn't something that you know, like, I need to leave alone. This is something I need to explore further. And so I knew going into this album, I knew I was ready, because I just looked at how much people like those beats, and I knew I could do better. That's the crazy thing, because when you're producing for other people, there's limitations, right? Because if I go too far, maybe they don't want that, or sometimes, you know, I feel like it should be more stripped down and they want more. So it's really like it's limited to a certain extent, because like collaboration can sometimes expand on something, and other times it can limit something.
But it's also difficult to curate for yourself.
Oh,
too.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep people who I feel are the more talented than me when it comes to certain things. That's why I keep those people around.
Yeah.
And I'm not scared of having people around who are more successful, more talented, smarter. Like, that's never something that has intimidated me, because the one thing you learn is that, like, they may have a specific skill sets that are far more advanced than yours. Far more advanced than you are when it comes to that particular thing. But where balance comes in, there's something you're great at that when you put you two together, or you 3 or 4 people together, because y'all balance each other out, amazing things can happen. So I've always kept people around me like that, or I should say have been blessed enough where people like that don't mind having me around or pick up the phone when I call. So,
well, I think also with this project too, you perfectly blended both your art director hat or your creative director hat and your music producer hat, because this project not only includes, you know, it's produced by you, rhymes written by you, but then visually you've created a whole series, because you opted to do single releases before, you know, releasing the full album. And with those releases, you actually have a theme throughout, whether it's the single covers. You also have merchandise,
right?
That's tied in. You have the album cover, which we showed just a moment ago, if you wouldn't mind pulling that back up again, where again you have these colors, these patterns. So you are incorporating both Stan, the Substantial, the visual artist, and Substantial, the MC producer. And when talking about collaborations, the vinyl image on the right side was created. You want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, shout out to my brother Rachelle, who did that illustration. Amazing visual artist, known for creating dope designs using triangles, and you know, he's super dope, man, and been a longtime friend of mine for close to 30 years. Yeah, man, because I've known him since he was 10. And so, yeah, man, it's extremely grateful to finally be able to have him contribute to one of my projects and stuff, since he's been a person who's been a longtime supporter and a great friend to me over the years. So shout out to that brother. And then for the non-variant, for the original cover art, which is the smaller art on the left with the photo, shout out to my brother Marvin Jones, or Marvelous Jones, who did all the photography for all of the stuff related to adultish. Also, shout out to Ryan Espelita, who I worked on the pattern that you see in the background. He actually created the original version of the pattern that I later took his pattern, which he had colors that were loosely based on the colors you see there. I gave, like, basically before any of this was designed, so just stepping back, before any of this stuff was designed, I literally laid out the color palette, right? Like, I've known what these colors were going to be for like 2 years, you know, like early in the process of making this record, maybe even 3, like definitely 2, maybe 3 years. I've known what the color palette was going to be, and just kind of built around that. I was having meetings with Ryan Espelita early on, where he was going to originally design the cover. There were a lot of ideas we were throwing around that just kind of, they weren't, like, I feel like we were trying to do too much. The illustrations he did was so dope. he notably did the beautiful work cover, which the moment I saw that cover art, I'm like, oh, I need to hire this guy to do the album cover. And so we tried to work on something, but it was a bit too much. And I wanted something that popped, but still was somewhat scaled back, right? And I think sometimes we struggle to say a lot without doing a lot, right? I think that's hard for a lot of us because we have all these ideas and we want to find a way to convey all of that and keep you engaged and not lose you. But it's hard to do that a lot of times. And so so that didn't work out with Ryan initially, but I knew I still wanted to have him involved because he came in to work with me early on in this process, and I felt I owed it to him for all the time to do something and finish something. So shout out to him, because without Ryan, this pattern that now is on the sneakers, right, is on the brim of the adultish hat, is a full print shirt, full bleed shirt with this pattern. So I love the fact that I was still able to have him be a major part just by doing that, because I told him this early on that was the vision. So, but yeah, I know I'm all over the place right now, but I mean, yeah, man, it's been a ton of work. Like, but the beautiful thing has been like, you know, like having the concept for the record, both visually, sonically, all of that, and having control, but at the same time opening it up to the different creatives that I love and respect. And I mean, from my barber / one of my oldest friends, Shamark, a lot of y'all know him as Sherm the barber. You know, he was my stylist. He picked what I wore, like for the shoots and stuff like that. Yeah, sunglasses or nah, you know what I mean? Not those sunglasses. Here's my sunglasses. Like, yo, so many people contributed to this record, even though it's a solo record. So yeah.
So, because I know we're running on time.
It's our show. We run it. This could be a 3-hour No, we got babies in the other room.
Right. We will not be doing that. So, but I do want to touch base on some other things that you were working on in the middle of creating this album. You have been doing some culture. You ended the year 2022 doing not one but 2 cultural diplomacy trips.
But before we do that, we did get a question.
Okay.
Yeah. Music in anime. Shout out to him. He came out to the show in Boston when I was on tour earlier this year. Let's see. It says, question for the Q&A. As artists who wear a lot of hats, from creating to promoting to educating, etc., how do you keep all those hats balanced and also not feel the weight of it all?
Hallelujah.
Yeah, short answer is someone said 5 hours. 5 hours.
Right. I would say for me, what has been working for me, like, because I'm working on multiple projects as we speak, is having a calendar and literally designating a day for that particular project. So for instance, if I'm doing film research, that gets a day. I'm editing a project, an interview that I did, so that gets a day. And so that's how I'm able to break up. But of course, we're also, you know, we're a married couple. We have 2 kids. And so I have to make sure that their needs are met as well. Like, we have a daughter who's in camp and, you know, so, but everybody gets a day. And when I say a day, it's not the whole day. It's just one day where you focus and you hone in on that particular project.
Vast majority of the hours of that day, or a good amount of the hours of that day, is focused on that project. I do something similar. Like, typically, unless the deadline requires me to do a bit, like, work a bit more sporadically, or kind of just really focus in because of when something's due, I typically work on my music stuff in the beginning of the week, like Mondays, Tuesdays, right? And then like my art admin stuff or whatever, or like behind the scenes stuff, a lot of times that stuff is dedicated to like Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then my video content days, because I do lives on Friday, a lot of times it's kind of focused around then. So it's somewhat similar, but because of deadlines and because of certain things being due, some days or whatever it shifts,
Yeah.
where like the day is just broken up, where I start out email gets a certain amount of time early in the morning, and then from there it's like, you know, social media, graphic design stuff, flyers, et cetera, et cetera. So just scheduling, yo, like we have calendars, we use them, you know what I'm saying? Like,
And keeping it on a deadline. So, for instance,
Yeah.
if I give myself 2 hours, I go in 2 hours, and then that's all they get, and then move on to something else. Because
Absolutely.
you don't want to burn out. 2, sleep is real. It's a requirement. You need it. But also, you focus in. You know, you're able to focus in on what exactly needs to be done. I'm the type of person, I need to be able to check something off. So it's like I give myself, all right, 2 hours. I need to accomplish this amount of stuff in this amount of time, so that I could feel good, that knowing that I'm breaking at a good breaking point, so that the next day or the next time I'm supposed to do that particular thing, that I'm at a good starting point.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right. So you were saying we keeping it moving.
Yes.
Let's
So
talking about the cultural diplomacy.
yes. So cultural diplomacy. So please define that for our audience. And where did you go?
Yeah, so cultural diplomacy can look a few different ways, but cultural diplomacy oftentimes involves you building relationships with like the global community. In my case, is via hip hop, right? And think of it like an exchange program, so to speak, where a lot of times we are sent certain places in order to work with a particular community, take your skill sets and the different talents you have and the knowledge base that you have, and share it with that community in a way that helps them better, you know, do whatever it is they're striving to do. So if it's through hip hop, if their focus is hip hop, then basically, and here's the key part to cultural diplomacy, right? It doesn't just mean you show up and like, hey, people who don't really know how to do this thing, this is how you do it. It's not that. What it is you show up, you learn about their country, their culture, what the industry's like there, all of these different things. You ask questions, you know, you tell them about yourself, but you ask a lot of questions. And then based on their advantages and their limitations, then you make suggestions based on your knowledge, based on your knowledge base, that can help them better promote what they do, excel at what they do, et cetera, et cetera. But like, you know, but the whole point is I have resources that I believe may be valuable to you all based on what I've learned about you all. Here you go. And then you know, and sometimes like
It's an exchange,
yeah,
right?
it's an exchange, and then they have stuff that I want. Sometimes it's information, sometimes it's just local art or goods or music, you know what I mean, or just opportunities. So that's been, man, that experience has just been great. Shout out to Next Level. They're one of the organizations that I've had the pleasure of doing this work with. You know, this is us in Romania. I believe, we were in Timișoara. That's at a high school where we performed for a couple hundred students at the high school. Then at the end, we asked questions. We talked to them about about our crafts, but we also talked to them about bullying, right? And shared our experiences about what bullying looked like to us growing up, and learned a lot about them, and literally witnessed firsthand, like some kids challenge the other kids because there was bullying that was taking place in the very room we were in. And man, it was beautiful, man. It was really, really, it was a powerful experience, man. You know.
So, in addition to Romania, you also went to the motherland for the very first time.
Yeah. Shout out to Words, Beats, and Life, who I had another opportunity to do some cultural diplomacy work with, and go to Uganda. I'm trying to keep it together. Both situations were extremely beautiful and just really, really powerful. But Uganda, man, like setting foot on the continent of Africa, first and foremost, was just amazing in itself. And you know, from flying over it, looking out my window, just like yo, this is like where everything started. Like really, where like the world started here. And you know, and then stopping briefly in Ethiopia, even though we didn't get to really spend more than like a few short hours there, just being there, right? Knowing that like the oldest remains on our planet were found there, right? Like, you know what I mean? Just, oh my God, it's just, there was so many things about that experience that was just like, it was really, really crazy. And a lot of Americans, when we go to Africa, a lot of times the first place that folks go, or the first region people go, is oftentimes West Africa, which makes a lot of sense. Because when you know like the history and how things went, a lot of us who are African American have mostly West African blood. But I will say there was something about starting in East Africa that like it wasn't as heavy as like so many of my friends when they come back from Africa and they go to Ghana, they see the slave castles and all of that. It was really like, hey, welcome home, family. All right, let's go. Like, and it's been that for a lot of the homies I talked to, but it was just really like, man, we hit the ground running. We got off the plane, finally got out the airport. Our luggage didn't show up for like another 36 hours, which was crazy. And like we left straight from the thing. We didn't even check in our hotel till late that night because we went straight to work. We went to an embassy. There was a ton of artists waiting for us to speak and join in the conversation. And literally on the car ride there, was just asking questions like, yo, so what's it like being a musician here? Being a full, like the guy, shout out to Babaluku, full-time artist out there, community organizer, been doing great work for years, decades. And like, man, just in the car, like just right to it. Yeah, what's it like being a full-time artist here? What are the challenges? Like, you know, talked a lot about their challenges with venues and not having consistent venues because of ownership and things like that. And so not being able to book a lot of indie hip hop and, you know, and then also just talking about some of the infrastructure challenges and how that makes it difficult as an artist and how they consume their music. Are they streaming? What platforms are they using to stream? What physical media is a thing? So, yo, just learning that stuff. Like they're streaming mostly on YouTube, right? And people are streaming from their TVs more so than devices a lot of times. And physical media, people are using USBs, right? Because you can plug those USBs into your smart TVs or to your TV to play the music. Yeah, it was just crazy, right? So like,
but going back to you had mentioned before about the significance of landing in Uganda as your first introduction to the continent, and later discovering something about Uganda and your personal lineage.
Yeah. So shout out to my wife. Y'all might know her. She's sitting right next to me. But you know, we were talking about you know, the fact that I did my ancestry DNA a while back. And the missus was pointing out, she was like, yo, I think you have, you know, ancestry in that region. And I couldn't remember. And sure enough, I logged in, man. And it said that it was a very small percentage. I think it was like 1 or 2% or something like that. But I'm 75% African. But some of my ancestors, I found out like, and I hit my man as soon as I got back and I saw that and I confirmed it. I hit him up and was like, yo, just found out that I have Ugandan ancestry. And he was like, I told you we was family. Like, you know, he kept saying it. He was like, every time he was like, family, blah, blah, blah. And we would talk. And so he was like, I told you. I told you. And man, it was just, and I got video footage of this organization, this brother who ran this organization, who runs an organization out there that works with kids, where we were shooting a music video. And the clip that I have of him, he was like, substantial, welcome home. Man, yeah, it was just, so it was amazing.
But it shows that also how everything happens for a reason, you know? Mm-hmm. So that was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to transition.
Okay.
Because I know you're, getting verklempt.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was beautiful, son. You know what I'm saying? It was a good time.
But just like what we've been doing all season long with our guests, I figured this would be no different. We have some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna quiz you 1st, and then I know you can think about it. So,
Okay,
you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So we have 5 questions for you. We,
I'm
meaning
here.
I. I know you're a Marvel fan.
Best believe it.
You watched the pre, the post interviews and all the recaps and everything. Having said that, and having recently seen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which of the two do you like better? Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or Spider-Man No Way Home?
Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. It's not even close for me.
Really?
Yeah.
And why is that?
Both were good. But after seeing No Way Home, I was like, man, this was it. Like, it was better than I thought it was going to be, and I had high expectations going in. But when I came back and I just rewatched the first Spider-Verse movie, I was like, yeah, I still like the first Spider-Verse better than I like No Way Home.
Wow. Okay.
I own both, and I've played Spider-Verse far more. Like, our youngest daughter, I'm saying like this woman ain't give birth to her.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, like, listen, anytime she want to watch it, they just started watching it before we came in here, and I was a little sad that I couldn't watch it, right? So that being said, I love the first Spider-Verse movie a ton, and when I walked out of seeing the second one, I was like, yo, I don't know how they topped that movie, man, but
They did.
they did, yo. At least to me. I'm sure folks out there got different opinions. I didn't ask. To me, it's a superior film, and that's saying a lot, because the first one was amazing. Pun intended, because Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, definitely Spider-Verse.
Got it.
Gang gang.
Okay, number 2. So I know you're no longer, a person that delves into meat products.
Mm-hmm.
So no swine, no chicken, no poultry, no fish. Well, you fish, yes. But you've been out of the game for a minute.
I've been out with my jersey in the rafters. You know what I'm saying?
Right, you've been out of the game for a minute. But, you still remember.
I do remember.
You still remember. And being a PG
I'm
boy.
not one of those people that hate on folks for eating meat
Right.
either. You know what I mean? If you out there doing, I remember. So
Right.
like, I ain't like it was nasty.
What I want you to do,
All that
okay,
bad
bring
shit.
it in.
I'm sorry.
What I want you to do is think back. Right? Out of the 2, which do you prefer? Chicken wings and mumbo sauce, because you're from the DMV.
Okay.
Or
PG County.
pork chops for the swine.
Chicken wings and mumbo sauce.
Chicken wings
It's
and
not
mumbo.
even close.
It's not even close.
Yeah, younger me. I mean, I haven't had pork since I was 16. I was eating chicken wings and I literally the one time I cheated on my no chicken diet, like it was chicken wings and mumbo sauce. You know what I mean? No, I did it twice. One, it was because I was with Vic and his brother somewhere, and some chicken came out. Vic got weak, and he didn't want to go in alone. He's like, "Come on, son, just one wing. Just you have a wing, I have a wing, and then we can act like this night never happened." I was like, "Yo, this is real weird, son." And we had it, and it was so weak. It was so weak. But then we did the video. I remember.
You didn't go to Eddie's.
Yeah, right. Hey, look, man. I was about to say I raised the rights, and no, we were filming the video for My Favorite Things. That's what we were doing. We was doing My Favorite Things, and at that point, I hadn't had chicken in over a year. Right, like because a lot of times I don't ease my way out. I just decide today I'm not going to do it, and when I gave up pork when I was 16, I have not touched pork since. So anyway, we were filming that video. We ordered a ton. We did like 40 wings with mumbo sauce for that video, and there was no way I was not going to have some chicken wings and mumbo sauce. It was I went in. So chicken wings and mumbo sauce
all the time. Okay. Now, you having traveled to well over God knows how many islands and countries you've visited, but there's 2 countries in particular. Both are islands.
Mm-hmm.
that you visited before. But if you had to go on vacation today, Japan or Jamaica?
Jamaica.
Oh.
Yeah. Because Japan's work. Like whenever I go to Japan, it's never for. I would like to go to Japan for vacation, but I know the likelihood is while I'm in Japan, I'm gonna work. Jamaica, like because I don't have the same resources, connections at my disposal, I can really just be a foreigner and just really be like off duty and just chop it up and be not substantial. So definitely Jamaica, and I feel like we're owed a redo anyway, because when we went to Jamaica, it rained every day.
Sure
every day it rained when we went to Jamaica, except the day we left, which yo. Me and God still beefing over that one. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
So
what? This is what we doing? This is what
You
we
need a do-over?
Yeah, it was like, I mean, I'm grateful for rain, but come on, fam. This was, it's wild. So yeah, definitely Jamaica.
Okay.
She disrespectful with this next one. Why she do that?
So, okay, as an MC's MC, right? You are on a road trip, and we've taken many road trips.
I got the context. Got it.
Okay, we've taken many of road trips, and sometimes you're traveling late at night, or sometimes you're just tired. Who is your go-to? Who is it that is your go-to that will get you through your trip, your voyage? Is it Redman or Mr. Busta Bus himself, Busta Rhymes?
I mean, she already know the answer to this question. I am 100%, like, I love both these dudes. I'm actually more of a Redman fan than I am a Busta fan. I love them both, though. But for road trips, if like who I'm playing first to get me through is definitely Busta. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's definitely Busta. Yeah.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah. I saw when let's see, I didn't when she got it written down different. Like it's just like Redman or Busta Rhymes. I was like, wait a minute, you can't do that, right? But when she put the context, she put it in. I was like, okay, yeah.
No, but it's funny. I mean, for both the road trip, but also, I mean, these two are both animated.
Yeah.
They are very creative. They are loud. They're obnoxious. I mean, so
Busta's the superior live performer.
Yes.
But bar for bar, it's Redman for me. You know what I mean? Busta got bars too, but Redman's just more consistent. Like Busta loves to talk about, I get up that stage and I bust ass. You know what I'm saying? Red, every time he pick up that mic, he bust ass. Pause for those who need a pause right now. I don't really care, but Red is just more consistent on the mic in terms of like every time, like them lyrics, just like you know what I mean? Just since like the early '90s, fam. Like every time. Where Bust sometimes takes the night off on like the lyrical blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And will just give you style, like more style than he will like smack you in the face lyrics sometimes. Where Red's like, nah, he always on one. So yeah.
The last one I have for you now, because your current project is adultish, and you've talked a lot about aging gracefully and like making aging cool, because I think for a lot of us, particularly in the Black community, where for some didn't even expect to see themselves at this age, right? But you're seeing a lot of folks, embracing the salt and pepper, embracing growing a beard or growing their hair out, or maybe shaving it all off. Two people that I think have done it very well, two celebrities, and I want to know from you, which of the two do you think who have gotten better with age? Samuel L. Jackson or Lawrence Fishburne?
Oh, that's Mr. Jackson. I'm gonna go with Samuel L. Jackson.
And why?
Yeah. I mean, I think that somehow, and I mean, listen, man, this is just my opinion, but Samuel L. Jackson has a bit more of a cool factor, I think, to me, than Lawrence Fishburne, right? I feel like when I watch old stuff with Samuel L. Jackson, I feel like he's progressively gotten cooler as he's gotten older. I mean, of course, when you look at something like Pulp Fiction and stuff, and the speeches, the Jerry curl, all of that stuff, man. Like, I mean, it's an iconic role. But like, this dude has just hit us with so many iconic roles since then. And he's like, he's played old, he's played younger, he's done these different things. And when you see him in interviews, man, he's just, I feel like I'm watching him, and it has me looking forward to getting to growing older. You know what I mean? Like, even like his style, like how he presents himself and different things, not just so much the roles. Like, I watch a lot of interviews with him, and same thing with Lawrence Fishburne. And even from the physical stuff, right? Like how he's kind of maintain a certain weight. A lot of times as we grow older, it's harder to keep the weight off. You slow down a bit. All of these different things happen. And I feel like he's a great example of someone who's figured out how to age a lot slower. You know what I mean? And where Lawrence Fishburne, when you look at him when he was younger, like movies that came out around the same time versus what he looks like now, just physical appearance. And this is no disrespect. I mean, it's obvious when you see it. Like, you can see, like, you see the weight, you see the, you know what I mean? And so these are things that all of us as we grow older got to be more conscious of and stuff like that. I ain't saying I ain't saying anything wrong with his health, but I do know that it's harder to do things in general when you are getting older. But you throw weight into the mix and all of this other stuff, it's even more challenging, right? And so between those two, it would be Samuel L. Jackson for me. But I love both these dudes, man. Shout out to Lawrence Fishburne too for making helping to make the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur show happen too with Disney, which is fire, by the way. If for all my parents out there looking for some like Marvel content to watch with your young one, great show. Raphael Sadiq does the music, is the music director on the show, and has a ton of dope producers along with himself contributing. Well worth checking out. Anyway,
did they pay you for that?
They didn't. They do me.
All right. So.
Oh, that is true. Urban Man is like, to be fair, Samuel kind of started his career as an old man.
Yes, he did.
Oldish, right? Because we say old man, but 30 ain't old.
He was in his late 30s.
Yeah, he was in it. I mean, so like late 30s.
But in the 80s, folks looked old.
Yeah, yeah. So like, I mean, because
he kind of looked in Coming to America, he looked like he was 60.
Yo, and it's wild, man. I used to date this girl who you said
word?
About, she stopped playing. I used to date this girl who, like, one of the most disrespectful things she said, and this was definitely some colorism shit, like, now that I think back. She was light skinned too, and she was like, I don't know. Every time I see him in the movie, he just look dirty. It's like, damn, like, yo. And it's like, I mean, it don't help when you just watch A Time to Kill. It's like, all right, touche. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, damn, he always look dirty. And I see him in certain joints, he in a suit and tie or whatever. And I'm like, I think that's the light skin side of you. Just like, no matter what he do, he's just gonna always feel a little. It's just it's crazy how people perceive certain folks. I will say this too
about Samuel L. is more like a chameleon. Like he is, he's a method actor. I mean, he's not the same with him. Even more so than Denzel Washington, right? Like with Denzel, because he's so larger than life, and even a little bit to a certain extent, even Lawrence Fishburne. Like I see Denzel before I see the character. Whereas Samuel L., with the hair, with the wigs, the various wigs, with the prosthetics, with the mannerisms, like he becomes, he's able to sell it. He becomes the character. Yeah. And then when you see him with the Capital One commercials, you're like, oh, okay, he got swag. So
man.
It's like he's able to do that. Well, with a lot of actors, you don't really see that.
Right.
So.
But salute to them both, man.
Oh, like, absolutely.
Both amazing actors and amazing contributions.
Yeah, and for some, I mean, if you're from a certain generation, you watched Lawrence Fishburne grow up because, I mean, from, what was the movie in the 70s about the Vietnam War?
Oh, you talking about,
oh, God.
I know which joint you talk about, but I was even thinking about the other joint, Cornbread and Earl, because wasn't he in that?
I think so. Yeah,
And
he's
then,
been around.
he's been around. Yeah,
for a minute,
so yeah, because that's what somebody was saying. Like, he's like, we've been watching him since he was a teenager, pretty much. Apocalypse Now, yeah.
Apocalypse Now.
They did him dirty.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with that. They're different degrees of cool. Absolutely. Yeah, when I listen to, hey man, look, if I gotta sound like either one of these brothers, I'm not going Samuel Jackson. I'm going Fishburne. You know what I'm saying? Because I listen to him in his interviews. I'm like, damn, this brother read anything right now sound great. I'm surprised he doesn't do more voice work actually, considering how great a voice he has. But anyway, I got a question for you.
Yes.
So this is tough, man, because I know no matter who I put against this woman, it's going to be this woman. But like, so my lightning rounds I'm going to just see what women I can throw out there to try to top this one woman. And until we get somebody who kind of gets her thinking that maybe, So Oprah Winfrey.
Oh gosh.
See what I'm saying? See here? Right? There's a running joke here where it's like, I will tell Shell something years ago, and then Shell's like, I don't know, Stan. And then Oprah Winfrey say it, or have a guest that says it, and Oprah goes, And then Shell come back to me, say the same thing I told her like 2 years ago, but Oprah say it, and it's gospel. You know what I'm saying? But it's okay. I know my place. I can't be Oprah. So anyway, we're going to go down the line. So if you had to choose... and it could be for whatever, who to meet, who you could have dinner with, conversation with, you know what I mean, a quick Zoom, whatever.
Okay.
Oprah Winfrey, Oprah Winfrey, Barbara Walters.
Oh, God.
Okay, I started off good because I was worried because Oprah's like Jesus' cousin or something. You know what I'm saying? Oprah's up there,
Jeez. I would say, and God rest the dead, I would say Barbara Walters, because Barbara Walters, literally, if not for her, she was the sensei for Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
She's the sensei for a lot of female journalists.
100%.
So, yeah, I would say Barbara Walters.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Man,
I'm proud of me because I had some other ones. Because my first one was gonna be like Oprah or Ava DuVernay, right? And I knew that would kind of get her doing with I knew that would, but just because Ava, like I feel like she would want to. Go ahead. I'll let you explain.
Go ahead. Finish.
No, I was just gonna say I feel like for different reasons, right? Mm-hmm. Like I know what Oprah means to you, but I also know that your love of film. Like where your journey that you're currently on and the work that Ava DuVernay is doing. I mean, we just watched the final season of Queen Sugar. We just finally caught up and watched that, which is a great show, by the way. Shout out to that show, man, for doing a great job at depicting the different types of black men in our world. I feel like there's amazing black women on that show, of course, but what I really do love about Queen Sugar is just the variety of black men. Like we got the flawed ones, 100%, but then you see flawed ones who redeem themselves. You see them, and it's like they're dope at different ages. Like a little boy who's not trying to overdo the masculinity thing is maybe softer than most men are comfortable with, but he's brilliant. You know what I mean? Another one who's in college, who's struggling with identity and being his authentic self, wants to have real impact in the world, but still making poor decisions, but is mostly a good kid.
And it's actually both sides, because the women get messy too.
Yeah. Everybody on the show has a little bit of mess, which is the real world. But I highly recommend, like, for those of y'all who don't mind a drama that maybe I would like, for me it's fine, but I think some dudes would see a preview of that and be like, oh, that's for the ladies. You know what I mean?
Especially this last season, so it's available on Hulu.
Yeah, it's super dope. It's super dope. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I mean, with Ava, yes, I would love to meet Oprah. Are you kidding? I would love to meet Ava, because I love her work. Like what she was able to do with the Central Park Five. To this day, I've only seen it once, and I would only see it one time. That I'm good. It was so powerful. She has a style, she has a grace, she has a way of including. She's built a platform, what we talked about with Queen Sugar, where she literally, all of the directors have been women. This has been a 7-season run show, and every episode has been directed by a woman. So shout out to her. And it's not only been Black women, it's been women, period. So, definitely shout out to her and her team. There's so many strong women, though, that I would love to meet. There are, I'm a fan of Tabitha Brown. Love her. Discovered her, of course, like so many of us out here during the pandemic. And just to see her growth and development, like literally 7 years ago, she was, just a struggling actor. And 7 years later, she is a multi-millionaire hyphenate doing all the things. So shout out to her and her positive energy. But yeah, there's just some great people. I mean, do you have another question for me?
I'm gonna just end it here because this is the longest show of the season now, and it's because it's us. Because this is when the babies go to sleep. We just we either watching something or we running our mouth about something. One of us is venting about something. The other one's just like, "No, I'll let you finish. Go ahead." You know what I'm saying? That's the we need to put that on a shirt for both of us. "No, I'll let you finish." But the next one I was going to ask is a question that we pose to guests all the time, and I think this is a great thing to end on. If you could only do one of the many disciplines that you've picked up over the years and developed, which one would it be?
Oh, wow.
And so for those of you joining us late, Shell is she's a visual artist, fashion designer, illustrator. She also writes. She's now directing film. She's doing a lot, and she's an arts administrator and all of that. And breaking news, she's actually going back to school, get her master's degree. This woman, my wife, dope, man. You know what I'm saying? So clap it up for Sharon. But we putting her on the spot. If you could only do one for the rest of your life and you had to put the other ones down, which one would it be? At this point in your life, at least. No pressure. This is what she does to guests all the time.
I do, but I never think it's coming back at me. That's why we did this show.
Yeah.
It's hard. That's a very difficult question to me. 'Cause in my mind, right? My first love was drawing. And I feel like I could do it all the time, but I haven't. And so, but I realized in my growth is storytelling and filmmaking. And so I think with filmmaking, it's a different medium, right? Yeah, it's so hard. It's really difficult. But I love this. I love the process of creating something on paper from writing the words to, or even just capturing images and telling a story through that, and seeing how other people interpret it differently. So I would say filmmaking. Jesus.
Yeah. I kind of felt that, but
Aw,
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So on that note, let's we're gonna wrap things up because if we don't stop ourselves now, we would be here because we're home. We're home. So
and this one, let me tell you, if I let him, it would be midnight and we'd still be here.
And see, people how she just throw me under the bus. I do want to point out though that if we ran this back and counted how long each of us talked, it'd probably be closer than she thinks. For the record. She does it, but she's not the one watching the clock. See,
y'all was sitting here. You watched. Who was talking? Who was talking?
I'm just saying. Go back to those first 2 episodes. Look at the length of the episode when I interview her, and then realize that my episode is the second shortest of the season. Who saw that coming? Nobody. Nobody.
First of all, that was 4 years ago. Okay,
4 years ago. Her
But-
episode's like 20, almost 30 minutes longer than mine. Just saying.
All right.
Observations. See,
All right.
she loved it. Everybody want to throw me under the bus.
These folks had to go to sleep.
They do.
So,
they do.
on
Some
that
of them on the
note-
West Coast, though. They be all right. But we're going to get out of here, man. Thank y'all so much. It's definitely been a lot of fun. Just a quick reminder before we get out of here, you can go ahead and pre-order Artistry. Pre-order Adultish right now. You can stream Artistry
stream
for free.
Artistry, yes.
But you can pre-order my new album Adultish, which drops in less than 2 weeks on Bandcamp first, and then it's on all platforms after that. It's also available on vinyl, compact disc, and USB cassette. Yeah, man, super dope. Lots of dope merch still available now. We're gonna play the outro to the show, and also hit you with an ad on the way out that we started the show with. So man, thank y'all so much. We hope you had as much fun as we did tonight. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great night. All right, peace. Thanks for listening to Artistry, where art meets industry. Season 4 of Artistry is powered by Words Beats and Life. Visit www.wblinc.org to learn more. This podcast is produced by Substantial Art and Music. For more information, please visit www.subartandmusic.com. You can also follow us on social media at Subartandmusic. Peace.